So Ken Braithwaite, you're the author of Historical Adventures. Would you like to tell us a bit more about your books?
I've done 2 books, as you know. The third book is causing me to ponder a little bit longer than normal. I can't quite get I know where I want the story to go, but I can't find the answers for the middle part. But you're quite right. COVID has affected things. I've been involved in an eco car, which has diverted me. But I did 2,000 words on Tuesday and got something into writing that I was anxious to put down. So, yes, COVID has affected the issue, but I'm still working on it, and I will have a clarity very shortly.
So going back a step, when did you start writing? So tell us a little bit about you're one of our select crowd of over 80s writers, which we have a few, and I love working with you all. So when did you start writing, and how did that come about?
I got the idea from a trip over to the Lake District when we were going through Bowes. Doreen mentioned that her mother was born over there, and over there was just a vast expanse of moorland. And she mentioned that her great-grandfather was a drover. And through my late wife, I knew of the drovers and the connection with the Border Reivers. And I just got that interest to explore a little further. I bought a book about the drovers, and then I started reading, and then I went to a couple of classes for creative writing, which Dr. Tracy Eiston was running. And I got quite involved, and I realized I wanted to write a book, and so I did. And you came on board, and you mentored me, and you created the environment which made me have it printed, and I'm as pleased as punch. So that's the second book, and now there's a third book on the way as I explore the relevance of droving in this area through the book. Yes.
So as a writer in Teesside, do you think, and especially...
The sound is very bad on here. It's me, not you.
Well, can you hear me okay?
Just, yes.
Okay. So when you brought out your first book, how old were you? Sorry to ask, is that... Sorry?
I was 82.
82. And it was the library in Stokesley where you launched it, and you had a library full of people who were queuing up to buy your book. How did that feel?
They considered me mad and didn't believe I could do it. I think it was curiosity that brought most people in. Yes, it was a very pleasant occasion, and I've had 5 talks, quite major talks, cancelled this last year because of COVID, and already I've got one tentative booking for April where people wanted me to talk about how I became an author at 82. I'd like to know as well.
So when you started writing, you did some of the creative writing classes, but you also did a lot of research, and you actually travelled to some of the places that you describe in your book.
I needed to get the feel for where I was going to put my man. I'd chosen a name eventually, Jack Rutherford, and I wanted him to be based in Cumbria, or Westmoreland as was, and I chose Brough as a location. So I visited Brough on many occasions, found the site that I think the fictitious Ridley House would be. And then I made visits to Kirby Stephen. I did a writer's course in Dumfries. I generally researched. There are 3 major books that one should get. I have all 3. And without them, it doesn't make sense. But the books are particularly relevant, and indeed I quote from them quite frequently. The research is, I think, absolutely vital to make it work. the thought of moving hundreds of cattle from A to B in this day and age seems to be unbelievable. Yet, of course, we look outside and see cars and lorries and going past. None of that. All you had was a horse and cart. That was your fastest thing on the roads. So the movement of cattle was a gentle pursuit, fraught with difficulties, but yeah, and it's an exciting time in English life.
So you actually went, so you visited, you followed the Drovers Road. So you went up to Dumfries, down to Cumbria, across the Pennines.
Yes,
to that
I
Stockton
went to
connection.
Dumfries, I went to Carlisle, I went to Kirby Stephen, I went to Kendal, I did some research down in Sudbury in Suffolk, and that was rather nice actually. And I had a good wander around there. Indeed, what I did was I followed the old droving trails down what was the Great North Road, followed it through Cambridge and the edges of Cambridge down to Suffolk, and I spent a night in Sudbury and met a lot of people, and I was given some fantastic information down there. It was good, and that is, I think, half the pleasure is meeting people. On the next book, I'm going to move the man from Brough to York, and so I wandered into a farmyard in the York area to ask the chappie about the dairy produce in that area, which is relevant. And he's got a copy of my book, and he's got an old map. And as soon as COVID's over, he wants me to go and see him and spend a day with him and go through all the dairy farming areas. And I can't wait to get down there. It's nice. It's wonderful.
So going to the COVID situation, as well as sort of all the library talks stopped, didn't they? I know you were invited to some historical groups that meet in libraries to give talks. So that's stopped, as you mentioned, but as well, it's actually stopped your traveling to research for the books.
Yes.
I think has that been difficult to?
I think I've deliberately, I've just had my COVID jab and I've got to be very careful, but I deliberately, I'm not taking the long journey. I'd love to do so, but it would be futile to involve myself and then find I'm poorly. I'm quite prepared to wait a while. I want to go back to York. I want to research a little bit more down there. I want to go to the outskirts of London and research there for the purposes of the book. Those are the things that are in abeyance, and until COVID's over, I've got to accept that. But it's giving me a chance to address where the book wants to go, how I want it to get there, and then I can do the research when I'm comfortable that I'm going into the right areas. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's brilliant. So just to sort of start to wrap up a little bit, what advice would you give to anybody who's either your age or approaching retirement and thinking about writing a book?
Don't delay. Start writing immediately. And do your research as you develop your theme. I took your advice and I developed chapters as I went through the book, 30 chapters, which means that you can, in fact, develop a chapter. Chapter 16 can be developed separately once you've got a clear idea where you want to go. But once you've done the research, just get on with it, because it'll never occur otherwise, and take professional advice. And get a very good mentor. And that's you.
Oh, brilliant! Thank you. So I think that's we've kind of talked about your inspiration. We've talked about your books. Are you part of any writing groups?
I'm still part of the Promoting Yorkshire Authors, and that's been most successful. It was very successful for me until COVID, and I have to wait till it starts again. I'm also involved in the Society of Authors as a member. They've been very careful in giving me advice, and I've submitted a short story to them, tongue in cheek, for a prize. The chances of that are very remote.
So your advice to everybody is go for it. This is one of the big things that we've always talked about.
Yes, the minute you start to put pen to paper, you're starting to create a book. Until you put pen to paper, nothing will ever happen. You can have bright ideas, but the first few sentences, the first few paragraphs, once that starts, it's in your mind, it's got to come out. That is the way forward. That's how I did it anyway. Each person's different.
Yep, and
yes, it's a lovely process.
Your books are very
and I need some more books, by the way.
How does your family and friends, what do they think about your writing?
Family and friends are very supportive. If a little bit aghast at what's he going to get up to next sort of approach. But it's rather interesting. And I found that once people became aware that you were an author, the doors were open. The man that I met in York, the farmer, we just met purely by chance. And I've sent him a book, and he just opened his doors and said, when you come back, I will give you a map of the area. I'll show you all the major dairy farms. The mere fact that the book was going to be written, as you've said many times, once you put it in writing, it's there forever. And the man was delighted to think that I was doing that. And he'd opened the door. He'd opened the door quite clearly. So the being an author in whatever format has interesting sidelines in that people will listen to you very carefully.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Have you enjoyed the last few years of writing and publishing books?
Sorry?
Have you enjoyed it?
I have. Like a small child. And it's enabled me to meet some lovely people and get into a different mindset completely, which one that is far removed from my profession. And I was delighted to see how how the intellectual side of things could be developed quite clearly. Made a big difference.
Brilliant. That's lovely. Thank you ever so much. I think we're about out of time. So before we get, in case we get cut off, thank you very much for joining us and having a chat this morning.
A pleasure. And thank you for inviting me.
Brilliant working with you.
Take care.
Take care. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.